AITA for refusing to give up my late brother's car to my parents, even though they say it's not really mine. So this situation has completely torn my family apart, and I honestly don't know if I'm the villain here or not. My brother, Ethan, passed away suddenly 2 years ago in a car accident. He was 24 at the time, I was 22, and our parents were, and still are, devastated. We were really close. We lived together in an apartment, shared bills, and basically were best friends. Losing him was like losing a part of myself. Ethan had this old but beautiful car, a 2006 BMW 3 Series. It wasn't fancy or new, but it was his pride and joy. He'd spent years fixing it up himself, replacing parts, detailing it every weekend, even re-upholstering the seats. He used to say that car was his therapy. After he died, the car sat in our apartment parking lot for months because none of US could bear to move it. Eventually, when our lease was up, I took it home to my parents' place, planning to keep it in storage until I figured out what to do. A few months later, my parents told me they wanted to sell the car to help cover Ethan's medical bills and funeral costs. I said no because I knew Ethan wouldn't have wanted that. He left no will, but he had told me multiple times that if anything ever happened to him, he wanted me to keep the car because I was the only one who understood it. I told my parents that I'd take over the loan balance, which wasn't much, and keep it. They reluctantly agreed at the time, or so I thought. Fast forward to this year. I moved out of my parents' house, got a decent job, and have been using Ethan's car as my daily driver. I take care of it exactly the way he used to. I wash it, keep it tuned, and even talk to it sometimes when I'm missing him. I know that sounds weird, but it brings me comfort. Recently, my parents brought up that my younger sister, Chloe, 18, needs a car for college. They suggested that I let her borrow Ethan's car for a while, since it's technically still part of his estate. I told them no, it's mine now, and I've already paid off the remaining balance on it. My mom said, "That car is a piece of your brother. Don't you think he'd want it to help his family instead of gathering sentimental dust?" That hit a nerve. I told her I do drive it, I maintain it, and I keep it running because it's the one physical thing of him I have left. It's not about ownership, it's about connection. My dad chimed in, saying I was being selfish and hoarding grief instead of letting Ethan's memory help others. Then they accused me of being materialistic for clinging to a car instead of focusing on my brother's spirit. Things escalated fast. My parents said that because the car was still registered in Ethan's name at the time of his death, it legally belonged to his estate, meaning them, since they were his next of kin. They claimed they had every right to take it back and get it to Chloe. I reminded them that we'd already had this conversation 2 years ago, and they agreed to let me have it. They said they only did that because they felt bad for me, and that it was time for me to move on. Now, my mom won't talk to me at all. My dad sent me a long message saying I was desecrating Ethan's memory by turning his car into a shrine. Chloe texted me saying I'm so dramatic and that she'll just get her own car somehow. But I could tell she was guilt-tripping me too because she ended it with, "It's not like you own grief exclusively." The worst part is, a few days ago, I found out my parents went behind my back and tried to contact the DMV to have the title transferred to their name, claiming Ethan had no living will. Thankfully, I had already taken legal steps to have the title transferred to me after paying off the balance, but it still shook me. They were willing to lie to take it from me. I confronted them about it, and my dad said, "You left us with all the pain and kept all the comfort for yourself." I honestly broke down. I told them I've been the one who visits Ethan's grave every week, the one who keeps his memory alive, while they refuse to even talk about him most days. I told them I'm not stealing their grief. I'm just trying to live with mine. My mom started crying, saying she can't believe I'd speak to her that way, that I don't understand what it's like to lose a child. And maybe I don't. But I also lost my brother, my best friend, and now apparently my parents too. The whole thing has caused this massive rift. My extended family is split. My aunt says I'm right to hold on to something meaningful, but my uncle says I'm acting entitled because cars aren't heirlooms. Some friends say I should just give the car to my sister to restore peace, but every part of me rebels against that. It's not just a car to me. It's Ethan's handprints on the steering wheel, his music still on the old CD in the player, his smell faintly lingering in the seats. I don't drive it recklessly or show it off. I treat it with respect. But my parents think that by holding on to it, I'm keeping the family stuck in the past. I think I'm honoring him. The most painful thing is that I know Ethan would have hated this fight. He always said family mattered more than anything. But I can't help but feel like giving the car up would be like losing him all over again. Still, now that my parents have basically frozen me out, I'm starting to wonder if I've crossed some invisible line. Maybe I'm too emotionally attached. Maybe they're right that I'm clinging to an object instead of the person. But when I sit in that car, it feels like I can breathe again, like he's still sitting next to me, laughing about some dumb meme, or singing off-key to old rock songs. So here I am, torn between keeping the last tangible piece of my brother and try to repair what's left of my family. My parents say I'm selfish and cruel. I say I'm just grieving differently. AITA for refusing to give up my brother's car? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. AITA for refusing to give up my spot at my sister's wedding for her emotional support bridesmaid. So, I, 28F, am the middle child in a family of 3 girls. My older sister, Claire, 31F, is getting married in December to her fiancé, Josh. My younger sister, Emma, 25F, and I are both bridesmaids. At least, I was until last week. Claire's always been intense. She's the kind of person who plans every detail of her life down to the minute. And if something doesn't go her way, it's a full-scale meltdown. When she got engaged, we all knew the wedding was going to be her personal Super Bowl. She started planning before Josh even officially proposed. For context, I've always had a bit of a rocky relationship with her. Growing up, she saw me as competition, especially because we were close in age. She was the responsible one, and I was the creative one, which somehow made me the family's wild card. We've gotten along better as adults, but she's still controlling. Anyway, when she asked me to be a bridesmaid, I was honestly surprised, but happy. I bought the dress she chose, not cheap, attended the bridal shower, helped plan the bachelorette, and even took time off work to help with errands. Everything was fine until Claire's college best friend, Madison, got divorced 2 months ago. Now, Madison and Claire have been close since college, but they drifted a bit after Madison moved to another state. Recently, though, they reconnected. Madison's divorce was messy. Her ex cheated, and Claire's been helping her heal. That would be fine if it didn't somehow turn into Madison becoming the emotional center of Claire's entire life. A couple of weeks ago, Claire called me in tears saying she was worried about Madison because she doesn't have anyone right now and that she needs to feel included. Then she said she wanted Madison to be a bridesmaid too. I told her that's great, but she already had 6 bridesmaids: Claire, Emma, our cousin Lily, her 2 best friends, and me. That's when she said, "Actually, I was thinking Madison could take your place." I laughed because I thought she was joking. She wasn't. She said she felt like Madison needed this more than I do, that I already have a stable life and fiancé, and that she doesn't want Madison to feel left out. I was floored. I told her that wasn't fair. I've already paid for everything, helped her plan, and been part of the process from day one. She said she'd reimburse me for the dress and some of the costs, but that she felt it was the right thing to do emotionally. When I refused, she got defensive and accused me of being selfish and not understanding her emotional needs as a bride. She said I was making her choose between her happiness and mine. I told her this wasn't about happiness. It was about basic respect. Things escalated when my mom got involved. She called and said she understood how hurtful this was, but also that Claire's under a lot of stress and that sometimes brides just do weird things. She suggested I let Madison take my place just to keep the peace. I asked her if she'd be okay with one of her daughters being replaced like a spare part, and she said, "It's just one day. Don't make it about you." So I doubled down and told Claire no. I said if she wants Madison in the bridal party, she can have 7 bridesmaids, but I'm not stepping down. Claire said that wasn't the aesthetic she wanted because 7 looks uneven in photos. She literally said that. I said, then maybe you should rethink your aesthetic because you're being cruel. After that, she uninvited me from the wedding altogether. No exaggeration. She said I could still attend virtually if I calmed down. I thought she was bluffing until I got a text from her wedding planner removing me from all the group chats and events. Emma's been trying to mediate, but Claire told her not to take sides. My dad, surprisingly, is on my side and told Claire she's acting like a dictator. That made her cry and accuse him of ruining her wedding spirit. To make things worse, Madison posted a photo of her and Claire shopping for a bridesmaid dress last weekend with the caption, "So grateful for the love and new beginnings." It felt like a slap in the face. Now the family group chat is a war zone. My mom says I'm being stubborn and should just let it go, while my dad thinks Claire's lost her mind. Emma's stuck in the middle. Josh apparently told Claire this was a bad look, but she told him to stay out of it. I tried one last time to talk to Claire calmly, to tell her this really hurt me. She said she didn't mean to hurt me, but had to do what felt right. When I asked her if she even realized how cruel this was, she said, "You'll understand when you get married and want everything perfect." That's when I told her that if perfection meant treating people like props, then I hoped I'd never understand. She hung up on me. It's been 2 weeks since we've spoken. My mom keeps telling me to be the bigger person and send her a nice message before the wedding. But honestly, I don't know if I want to. I've been crying more than I'd like to admit. It's not even about being a bridesmaid anymore. It's the principle. It's the fact that my own sister saw me as disposable the moment something emotionally convenient came along. Some of my friends think I should go to the wedding anyway, sit quietly and not make a scene. Others say I shouldn't go at all since she uninvited me. My fiancé thinks I should go no contact until after the wedding. I keep wondering if I should have just given in. Maybe it is just one day. Maybe I should have let her have her picture-perfect lineup and kept the peace. But then I think about how humiliating it felt to be told that someone needed my place more because they were sadder than I was. Like my feelings didn't count because I wasn't broken enough. Now the wedding's coming up in a few weeks, and I'm torn between sending her a message wishing her well or saying nothing at all. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to give up my spot for her emotional support bridesmaid. AITA for refusing to let my sister move back in after she ruined my wedding. So, this story has been sitting on my chest for almost a year now, and my husband keeps telling me to let it go, but I just can't. Every time I think about it, I get mad all over again. I, 29F, have one sister, Emily, 26F. Growing up, we were pretty close, but as adults, things got more complicated. Emily has always been the free spirit type. She dropped out of college, bounced between jobs, lived with boyfriends, and when those fell apart, she'd crash at my place for a little while. I've always been the opposite. I plan things, I save money, and I like stability. My parents tend to baby Emily, saying she just hasn't found her path yet. It got frustrating, but I still try to help her because, well, she's my sister. 2 years ago, my fiancé, now husband, Mark, and I bought our first house. Emily had just broken up with her boyfriend and was basically homeless. She cried about how she was sleeping on a friend's couch, and I caved. I told her she could stay in our guest room for 3 months, max, while she figured things out. She agreed, thanked me, and promised she'd contribute by paying a bit of rent and helping around the house. For the first couple of weeks, it was fine. Then she started slipping. She never paid rent, didn't clean, and constantly brought people over without asking. I come home from work to find strangers in my kitchen, drinking my wine. When I confronted her, she'd act hurt and accuse me of being controlling or acting like her mom. Mark didn't like it either, but we didn't want to kick her out right away. We thought she'd get back on her feet. Around this time, we were deep into wedding planning. Mark and I had been together for 6 years, and this was the big day we'd been saving for. Emily offered to be my maid of honor, and even though I hesitated, she's not exactly responsible. I said yes because I wanted her to feel included. Big mistake. She barely showed up to fittings, didn't respond to the group chat, and forgot to plan the bachelorette party. When she finally did, it was the night before my final dress fitting, and she got so drunk she threw up on herself and passed out on the couch. I still tried to be understanding. She was going through a rough patch. But the real nightmare happened at the wedding. Everything was going beautifully. My parents were happy, the weather was perfect, and for the first time in months, I felt calm. During the reception, Emily got absolutely wasted. I mean, slurring her words, spilling drinks on people wasted. She took the microphone during the speeches, which she wasn't even supposed to do, and started rambling about how love isn't real and how Mark was too good for me. People were staring. My grandmother looked horrified. Mark's parents were whispering to each other. I was frozen in my seat. Emily kept going, saying something about how maybe if I had made better choices, I wouldn't have been single. The DJ finally cut her mic, and she stormed off crying. Mark and I tried to salvage the night, but the mood was gone. I spent half the reception apologizing to people. The next morning, Emily texted me saying she didn't remember much, but she was sorry if she embarrassed me. I told her she had crossed the line and needed to move out immediately. She freaked out, saying she had nowhere to go. My parents called, begging me to reconsider. They said Emily was just emotional and that family should forgive. I stood my ground. Within a week, she was gone, though she left the guest room a mess and even took some of my skincare products and jewelry. For months, Emily and my parents refused to talk to me. My mom told everyone I chose my husband over my sister. Mark's family supported me, but I still felt awful. I wondered if I'd been too harsh. Fast forward to now. Emily's been bouncing between apartments, and apparently, her current lease is ending soon. 2 weeks ago, she called me out of the blue. She said she's grown up a lot and wants to reconnect. I agreed to meet her for coffee. She looked rough but sincere. She apologized again for the wedding, saying she'd been drinking heavily at the time because she was depressed and jealous that I had my life together. I appreciated the honesty and told her I forgave her, but I wasn't comfortable living together again. Then she dropped the real reason for the meetup. She wanted to move back in. She said it would only be for a few months until she gets stable. I told her no. She immediately got defensive, accusing me of holding a grudge and punishing her for being honest. I said it wasn't about punishment. I just didn't trust her to respect boundaries. That night, my parents called again. My mom said she was ashamed of me for turning my back on family. My dad said Emily was trying so hard to fix her life, and I should help her when she needs it most. Mark told me I was doing the right thing, but I can't shake the guilt. I keep thinking back to all the times Emily and I were close as kids, the sleepovers, the shared secrets, the nights when she'd crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. It hurts to think she's not really part of my life anymore. But then I remember standing in my wedding dress while my drunk sister publicly humiliated me in front of 120 people, and I get angry all over again. My parents still think I'm being heartless. My mom even offered to pay her share of the rent if I let Emily move in. I told her it's not about money, it's about peace. I'm finally happy and settled. Mark and I are planning to start a family soon, and I can't have chaos in our house again. But part of me wonders if I'm letting pride win over compassion. My parents' constant guilt trips are wearing me down. My mom keeps saying, "What if she ends up on the street? How will you feel then?" I've tried to suggest alternatives, staying with them, renting a room, even finding a short-term sublet. But apparently, I'm the only one she feels comfortable with. It's like no matter what I do, I'm the villain. So, here I am, a year after my own sister destroyed one of the biggest days of my life, being asked to open my home to her again. And I honestly don't know if saying no makes me cruel or just protective of my sanity. AITA for refusing to let my sister move back in after what she did. AITA for refusing to let my sister's fiancé stay at my house during her wedding week. I, 28F, live in a medium-sized city and have been in my apartment for about 4 years. My younger sister, Emily, 25F, is getting married next month, and I've been helping her plan the wedding as much as possible. She's always been the kind of person who likes to control everything around her, which I usually don't mind, but this time it's been a lot. Our parents are paying for the wedding, and because of their limited budget, we're all trying to make things work without overspending. Emily recently got engaged to her fiancé, Mark, 27M. I'll be honest, I don't dislike Mark, but I've never been particularly close to him. He's nice enough in small doses, but he's a very high-energy, social type, and I'm more of a private, introverted person. I've always valued my quiet space and routine, and Mark tends to be disruptive in ways that grate on me. He's loud, has strong opinions on everything, and has a habit of trying to help in ways that aren't actually helpful. Emily, of course, sees all of this as charm. A few weeks ago, Emily called me and said she and Mark were planning to come to the city a week before the wedding to finalize details. She casually mentioned that they were thinking about staying in my apartment for the whole week. I froze. My apartment is small, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, 1 living room. I live with my cat, Milo, who is very sensitive to strangers. I also work from home full-time, and having someone else in my space all day would completely disrupt my workflow. I tried to explain this to Emily. I said that unfortunately, my place isn't suitable for hosting them for an entire week. I suggested they book a nearby Airbnb or a hotel, and I even offered to help them find one. I was trying to be accommodating without giving up my space. Emily got quiet, then said, "But it would save everyone money, and I thought we'd spend more time together before the wedding. I don't understand why you're making this such a problem." I pointed out that it's not about money. It's about personal boundaries and the fact that my work and my cat would be disrupted. I also explained that I get stressed when my living space is crowded, and a full week with guests who are strangers to me is too much. I offered alternative ways to spend time together, like dinners, lunches, or planning sessions in cafes or rented event spaces. Emily said, "You're being ridiculous. Mark is really looking forward to this, and honestly, I thought you'd be excited too. It's just a week." I repeated my points calmly, but she ended the call abruptly. After that, things have been tense. Emily started dropping passive-aggressive comments in group chats, like, "I guess some people care more about their cats than their sister." Mark, apparently feeling the tension, tried to guilt-trip me directly, saying things like, "We're family now. Why are you treating us like strangers?" I stayed firm and reiterated my boundaries. I even suggested that if they really needed help, I could let them store some things at my place, but they couldn't stay overnight. A few days later, my parents called. They said that Emily was upset and accused me of being unhelpful and selfish right before a big day. I tried to explain my side, emphasizing that I'm trying to help in ways that work for me and for the wedding. My parents said they understand, but Emily is hurt and might resent me if I don't compromise. Now, Emily has started telling mutual friends that I'm being difficult and antisocial toward her fiancé. A few friends have reached out to see if I could just give in for a week to make things easier. My boyfriend of 3 years, Alex, 29M, says I'm right to stick to my boundaries, but I'm feeling guilty because Emily has always been dramatic and emotional, and I don't want this to become a permanent rift. At the same time, I know that if I give in, I'll be miserable the whole week, my work will suffer, and Milo will be stressed, which I really can't risk. I guess my main question is, am I really the asshole here for refusing to host my sister's fiancé for a week, even though it would apparently make things easier for her and Mark? I'm trying to support my sister at her wedding, but I also have to protect my mental health and personal space. So, AITA for refusing to let my sister's fiancé stay at my apartment during her wedding week. AITA for refusing to let my sister move in with me after she lost her house. Even though I have spare room, I'm a 34-year-old woman, and my younger sister, Megan, 29, and I have always had a complicated relationship. Growing up, she was the golden child. My parents doted on her constantly, while I was the responsible one. They expected me to help take care of her, tutor her, clean up after her, and sacrifice my own plans because you're the older one. You should know better. When I was 18 and got accepted to a good university 2 hours away, my parents tried to convince me to stay home for community college so I could help out with Megan's senior year. I left anyway. It was the first time I put my foot down. After that, I became somewhat of the family disappointment for abandoning them. Megan, meanwhile, stayed close, went to a local college that my parents paid for in full, and lived at home rent-free until she was 26. Fast forward to now. I've been living in a nice 2-bedroom townhouse that I bought 5 years ago. I worked hard for it. I have a stable job in marketing, and I've been very careful with money because I didn't get any help from my parents once I moved out. My sister, on the other hand, has always had a history of making impulsive decisions. She quit jobs when she got bored, dated guys who clearly weren't good for her, and constantly asked for financial help from our parents. 2 years ago, she got married to a guy named Ryan. I'll admit, at first, I thought he seemed nice enough, funny, outgoing, charming, but there were red flags. He didn't seem to hold a steady job, and Megan once admitted that they had taken out a few small loans to pay for their wedding and honeymoon because they didn't want to wait. I kept my distance. Last month, I got a panic call from my mom. Megan and Ryan had lost their house. Apparently, they were behind on mortgage payments for months, and instead of reaching out for help early, they kept pretending everything was fine. Then Ryan got laid off, and they had nowhere to go. My parents live in a small retirement condo now, so they couldn't take them in. My mom said, "You have that extra room, don't you? It's only temporary until they get back on their feet." I was hesitant, but told them I'd think about it. I've worked hard to create a peaceful space for myself. I like my privacy. I've lived alone for years, and I don't want drama. But before I even gave an answer, Megan showed up at my door with Ryan, 2 huge suitcases, and their dog. She said, "Mom said you were fine with it." I told her that wasn't true, that I hadn't agreed to anything yet. She rolled her eyes and said I was being dramatic. Ryan just stood behind her, holding the dog's leash, like he expected me to just let them in. I refused. I told them they couldn't just show up uninvited and assume I'd take them in. Megan got angry, saying I was cold and selfish. She said they had nowhere else to go. I suggested they stay with one of Ryan's friends or rent a cheap motel until they figured something out. She said they didn't have the money for that. I said that wasn't my responsibility. They left, but later that night, my parents called and berated me for turning away family. My mom said Megan was crying and that I was lording my success over her. My dad told me that family helps family and that I should feel ashamed. I stood my ground, but now my phone hasn't stopped buzzing. Megan's been posting vague things on social media like, "Some people only care about themselves," and "Funny how blood doesn't mean loyalty." Her friends are commenting with heart emojis and "You deserve better, girl." A week later, I learned that Megan and Ryan are now staying in a motel that my parents are helping pay for. But the guilt trip hasn't stopped. My mom keeps saying it's temporary and that I should do the right thing. I told her that I'm not comfortable living with them because of how messy and irresponsible they've been. She said, "You're lucky you can even say no. Not everyone has that luxury." Here's the thing. Megan has a history of trashing places she stays in. When she lived with a friend after college, that friendship ended because she refused to clean up after herself and never paid her share of utilities. She also once left her dog alone for hours and it destroyed part of the carpet. I have a feeling if I let them stay, it wouldn't be for a few weeks. It would turn into months of chaos, and I'd end up paying for it, financially and emotionally. Still, I can't lie. The guilt is getting to me. My parents keep making it sound like I've turned into some heartless person who's forgotten what it means to be family. My mom even compared me to those rich people who ignore their struggling relatives. I'm not rich. I just worked really hard and made careful choices. I don't think I should have to jeopardize my peace because of their bad decisions. Last night, Megan texted me saying, "I hope you never need help someday because now I know you won't get it." I didn't even respond. But then this morning, my coworker mentioned that she saw Megan's post online, and it made me feel like maybe I'm being too harsh. My coworker said, "It's just family. It wouldn't kill you to help for a bit." I wanted to ask her if she'd be willing to let her messy, unemployed sibling and their dog move in indefinitely, but I bit my tongue. I've started to second-guess myself, though. I know they're in a tough spot, and part of me feels like maybe I could have at least offered a week or two, just enough to help them get sorted. But another part of me knows that a week or two would never actually end there. So now my parents barely talk to me, Megan's turned our extended family against me, and I'm sitting here wondering if maybe I really am the asshole for not opening my door to them. AITA for refusing to let my sister and her husband move in with me, even though I have the space to help. AITA for refusing to let my brother's fiancée bring her dog to our wedding, even though everyone else thinks I'm being unreasonable. I, 28F, have been with my fiancé, Daniel, 30M, for 6 years, and we finally set a date for our wedding next summer. My family is very involved, and we want a reasonably small, intimate ceremony with close family and friends. Daniel's younger brother, Mark, 26M, recently got engaged to Sophie, 25F, and we've met Sophie a few times. She's very bubbly and nice, but she has a dog, an energetic Labrador named Max, that she basically treats like a child. Sophie has been very clear that she wants Max at our wedding. At first, I tried to be accommodating. I told her we'd have outdoor seating and plenty of space, so perhaps it could be feasible. But as I started thinking about it, a lot of issues came up. The ceremony is at a historic chapel that doesn't allow pets, and our reception is at a rented hall with strict rules about animals. Beyond that, Daniel and I are worried about allergies. My grandmother has a severe dog allergy, and one of my cousins sneezes around dogs so much that she can barely function. My parents were also hesitant because my mom has had a traumatic experience with a dog attack when she was younger. I explained all of this to Sophie and tried to be gentle about it. I said that while I understand she loves Max, our wedding has limitations that make it unsafe and uncomfortable for some guests to have a dog there. Sophie reacted very badly. She started crying on the phone and said that it felt like we were rejecting her family, and that Max is part of their family now. She said she couldn't imagine attending without him, and that she might not come at all. I tried to compromise. I offered to let her bring Max to a photo session we could schedule before the wedding, or even to the rehearsal dinner if it was outdoors. I even suggested hiring a professional dog handler to make sure Max was under control and to clean up after him. None of this satisfied her. She kept saying, "It's my wedding too, and Max is non-negotiable." When I talked to Daniel about it, he said he understood both sides, but felt that it was ultimately our wedding and our rules. I completely agreed with him, but I also felt guilty because Sophie was now sobbing every time he tried to discuss it. Things escalated when Mark called me. He said that I was being petty and controlling, and that Sophie should be able to bring her dog. He accused me of trying to make their family uncomfortable and said that my insistence was really cruel. I stood firm, and at this point, our family started getting involved. Some people sided with me, mostly on practical grounds, venue rules, allergies, and safety. Others, mostly Mark's friends and extended family, said I was overreacting and being rigid. They kept saying that it's just a dog, and she can't go anywhere without it. Sophie also started messaging my parents directly, saying things like, "You don't care about me, and you're ruining the wedding." Now, things have gotten tense. Sophie said she's reconsidering whether she wants to attend at all, and Mark is upset with Daniel. My parents back me, and Daniel's parents are caught in the middle. I feel awful because I don't want to hurt anyone or start family drama, but I also feel like a wedding is not the right time to negotiate bringing a pet that could endanger people or violate venue rules. I also feel like compromising too much here would set a precedent that could lead to more unreasonable demands. We've been arguing about this for weeks, and it's stressing Daniel and me out. I'm beginning to wonder if I'm really the asshole here. Should I just let Max attend and risk upsetting other guests and violating venue rules? Or am I justified in saying no? AITA for refusing to let Sophie bring her dog to our wedding, even though she and many others think I'm being unreasonable. AITA for refusing to host my sister's wedding after she insulted my mental health in front of our entire family. So, I, 29F, have always been close to my sister, Emily, 32F. Growing up, we were typical siblings with the usual ups and downs, but I would say that we were generally supportive of each other. Over the last few years, however, things have gotten complicated. I struggle with anxiety and depression, something my family is aware of, though not everyone fully understands. I've been in therapy for a while and have been working on managing it responsibly. Emily recently got engaged to a guy named Tom, and for context, their relationship has been a little chaotic. He's very charming, but also has a short temper and a habit of disappearing for days without communication. Emily tends to romanticize that behavior, and honestly, I've been worried about her. But ultimately, it's her life. She called me a few months ago to ask if I would host the wedding at my apartment. I live in a fairly large loft, but hosting a wedding there would be a massive undertaking. She said she wanted something intimate and unique, but that she didn't want to rent a venue because you have a way of making everything perfect. I hesitated, but eventually said yes, thinking maybe this would be a way to support her. I didn't realize at the time that this would quickly turn into a nightmare. The planning started off okay. I offered to help with decorations, seating, and even catering options, but almost immediately, Emily began micromanaging everything. She would reject my ideas, then complain when I didn't offer alternatives fast enough. I tried to explain my limitations politely, but she kept insisting that since I had hosted dinner parties and other family gatherings before, I should handle the logistics. 2 weeks ago, she came over with Tom and started a discussion about the guest list. I mentioned that my apartment has space limits and that inviting all of her friends and coworkers would be physically impossible. Emily immediately snapped, saying, "I can't believe you'd even think about limiting my special day because of your little anxiety issues. You're always so dramatic, it's exhausting." I froze. She said this in front of Tom, my parents, and a few family friends who happened to be visiting. I tried to explain that my anxiety isn't little and that it's a legitimate concern, but she laughed it off and said, "This is exactly why I hate involving you in anything important." I didn't respond in the moment, mostly because I was shocked and embarrassed. Later that evening, I sent her a message saying I couldn't host the wedding. I explained that I was hurt by how she dismissed my mental health and that I felt unsafe trying to plan such a huge event under those circumstances. She responded with multiple angry messages, accusing me of trying to ruin her wedding and being selfish for not helping her family. My parents called me a day later and told me I should apologize to Emily to keep the peace. I refused, explaining calmly that I wasn't the one who insulted her sister's mental health in front of everyone. My friends have been supportive, saying I made the right choice for my well-being. But my sister has gone full-on silent treatment mode and has been posting cryptic messages on social media about people in your family who don't care enough. I feel torn because I love my sister and I genuinely wanted to support her, but I also know that I cannot sacrifice my mental health or self-respect to make her wedding happen. At the same time, I worry that I might be seen as unreasonable or petty by the family. I haven't spoken to Emily since the argument, and I'm not sure if or when I should reach out. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to host my sister's wedding after she insulted my mental health in front of everyone. Additional details that might matter. Emily has never physically abused me, but she has a tendency to make cutting remarks when frustrated. Emily has never physically abused me, but she has a tendency to make cutting remarks when frustrated. I have hosted smaller family events before, but nothing on this scale. I have hosted smaller family events before, but nothing on this scale. My parents tend to prioritize family events over individual boundaries, which complicates things. My parents tend to prioritize family events over individual boundaries, which complicates things. I'm trying to balance my mental health needs with maintaining some form of relationship with Emily, but it feels impossible right now. I'm trying to balance my mental health needs with maintaining some form of relationship with Emily, but it feels impossible right now. The wedding is in 2 months, and she has now decided to rent a venue without informing me, which I think is fair, but also makes me feel like my input is completely disregarded. The wedding is in 2 months, and she has now decided to rent a venue without informing me, which I think is fair, but also makes me feel like my input is completely disregarded. I just want to know if standing my ground here makes me the bad guy, or if it's reasonable to refuse after being publicly insulted. AITA for refusing to let my brother and his fiancée use my late wife's wedding dress for their wedding. So, this whole thing has completely divided my family, and I genuinely want to know if I'm being unreasonable. I, 38M, lost my wife, Emily, 3 years ago. We were together for 10 years and married for 7. She passed away suddenly in a car accident on her way home from work. Losing her was the hardest thing I've ever gone through. We didn't have kids, and for a long time I lived like a ghost, just working, sleeping, existing. One of the few things I kept of hers, apart from some photos and letters, was her wedding dress. It's a classic vintage-style gown, custom-made with intricate lacework and hand-stitched details that Emily's grandmother helped sew. She looked absolutely stunning in it. It's how I'll always picture her. I had the dress professionally cleaned and stored it carefully in a preservation box. I kept it in the closet of what used to be her art room. I didn't really have a plan for it, just that it felt important to keep safe. Maybe someday, if I ever had a daughter, she could choose to wear it or use some fabric from it. Mostly, though, it was sentimental. Fast forward to this year. My younger brother, Ryan, 32M, got engaged to his fiancée, Lily, 29F. I like Lily well enough. She's friendly, kind, and I was genuinely happy for them. Things were fine until about a month ago when they came over for dinner. After dinner, we were talking about wedding plans, and Lily started talking about how she wanted a vintage, meaningful wedding dress but didn't want to spend thousands of dollars. She joked that she wished someone in the family had an old dress she could use. Ryan looked at me and said, half seriously, "Hey, what about Emily's dress?" I thought he was joking, so I laughed awkwardly. But then Lily chimed in, saying, "Actually, that could be really beautiful, like a family connection kind of thing." I immediately said no. I told them the dress wasn't something I was willing to part with, and that it was deeply personal. They both went quiet, and Lily said she understood, but I could tell she was disappointed. Ryan didn't say much after that. I figured that was the end of it. 2 weeks later, my mom called me and said she'd talked to Ryan and Lily, and that Lily was heartbroken that I wouldn't at least consider letting her use the dress. Mom said she thought Emily would have wanted it to be used again instead of collecting dust in a box. She even said it could be a nice way to keep Emily's memory alive. That comment really hit a nerve. Emily's memory isn't something I need someone else's wedding to keep alive. I told my mom that I wasn't changing my mind. She said I was being selfish and letting grief turn me cold. Apparently, Ryan and Lily told other relatives about it too, because now I've got texts from my aunt and cousin saying things like, "It's just a dress," and "Wouldn't Emily want her dress to bring someone else happiness?" I told Ryan directly that I was hurt. He even asked in the first place. He said he thought it was a symbolic gesture and that he didn't think I'd be so overly sensitive. I told him I didn't care what he thought of my sensitivity. My wife's dress is not a community resource. The worst part came when I found out Lily had actually gone behind my back and asked my mom if she could see the dress just to get inspiration. My mom, unbelievably, let her come over while I was at work and showed it to her. When I found out, I completely lost it. I drove straight to my mom's house and took the dress back immediately. When I confronted my mom, she said she didn't think it was a big deal and that Lily was only taking photos. I told her it was a huge violation of trust and she had no right to let anyone touch Emily's things. Mom said I was being dramatic and that it was time to let go of the past. Now, Ryan and Lily are saying they don't even want me in the wedding unless I can stop making everything about Emily. My mom is siding with them and saying I owe Lily an apology for overreacting and making her feel unwelcome in the family. My dad, on the other hand, told me privately that he completely understands where I'm coming from and that Mom and Ryan are being insensitive. He said he's staying out of it publicly because he doesn't want to start a bigger family fight, but he supports my decision. I keep going back and forth in my head. On one hand, I know it's just fabric and that Emily's gone. Nothing will bring her back. On the other, it's one of the last tangible things that belonged to her, something that represented one of the happiest days of our lives. The idea of someone else wearing it, especially someone who never even knew her, makes me feel sick. But the guilt trip from my family has been relentless. I've been told I'm stuck in the past, selfish, and even cruel for hoarding her memory. Ryan said it's not like I'm using it, and that it would mean the world to Lily. I've tried to explain that it's not about the dress itself, it's about what it symbolizes. That dress was part of Emily's identity, part of our story. I can't separate it from her. Every time I imagine Lily walking down the aisle in it, all I see is Emily. It feels wrong. I even suggested that if Lily wanted, I could pay for her to have a custom dress made inspired by Emily's, or help her find a vintage one similar in style. I thought that was a fair compromise, but she said it wouldn't be the same, and my mom told me I was trying to buy forgiveness instead of giving kindness. I haven't spoken to Ryan in 2 weeks now. The wedding is in 6 months, and I'm honestly debating whether I'll even attend at this point. The tension has made every family gathering unbearable. I'm still holding firm that the dress stays with me. It's the one thing I feel like I've been able to protect since losing Emily, and I can't give it up just to make someone else's wedding day meaningful. But everyone, except my dad and a couple of close friends, keeps telling me I'm being unreasonable, that I should move on and share her memory. So now I'm starting to doubt myself. Maybe I'm clinging too tightly to the past. Maybe it really is unfair for me to hold on to something I'll never use again. Or maybe this is one of those lines where I have every right to say no, even if it makes me look like the bad guy. AITA for refusing to let my brother's fiancé use my late wife's wedding dress. Hey friends, if you enjoy this content, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. We really want to know what you like and what can be improved. What do you think of the video? Are there any topics you'd like to see in future videos? Your feedback really helps us get better. Thanks for being with us. AITA for refusing to let my sister move into my house after she lost hers, even though I have a spare bedroom, and she says I owe her for everything she's done for me. So I, 33F, bought my first home 2 years ago. It's a small, 2-bedroom bungalow in a quiet neighborhood. I worked my butt off to get here, multiple jobs, no vacations, a ton of sacrifices. Owning a place of my own was my dream after growing up in a chaotic household. My sister, Megan, 36F, and I didn't have an easy upbringing. Our mom was constantly between jobs and relationships, and we were left to fend for ourselves a lot. Megan took on the older sister role seriously, cooking dinner, making sure I got to school, even standing up for me when I was bullied. I love her for that. But as adults, things have gotten complicated. Megan's always been the spontaneous one. She bounces between jobs, goes on last-minute trips, and never really saves money. She has a teenage son, Liam, 15M, whose dad is long out of the picture. For years, Megan and Liam lived in a rented townhouse. She was doing okay until last year when she quit her stable job to finally start her own event planning business. She asked if I wanted to invest. I didn't. I told her I couldn't risk it, but I wish her luck. She was annoyed but said she understood. Fast forward to this summer. Her business flopped, she fell behind on rent, and the landlord finally evicted her. She called me crying, saying she and Liam had nowhere to go and needed a place just for a few months. Now, here's where things get messy. My second bedroom isn't exactly a spare room. It's my home office and art studio. I work from home full-time, and I sell art commissions on the side. My job requires me to be on calls during the day, and my creative work is my sanity. The room is full of my supplies, equipment, and a huge drafting table that barely fits. If they moved in, I'd have nowhere to work. I told Megan that while I wished I could help, it just wouldn't work. I said I'd help her look for rentals or maybe co-sign a short-term lease if necessary. She immediately got defensive and said, "You have a whole house to yourself, and your own blood is about to be homeless." I reminded her that my home is small and that she'd already lived with me once before, and it was a nightmare. When I was renting a 1-bedroom years ago, she stayed with me for a few weeks that turned into 6 months. She never cleaned, constantly had people over, and left me with unpaid utility bills. When she finally moved out, she accused me of being ungrateful. Megan insists things are different now. She says Liam is older, she's learned from her mistakes, and they just need a place to stay until she gets back on her feet. But when I asked what her plan was, she got vague, saying things like, "We'll figure it out," and "You don't need to worry about the details." That's exactly what she said last time. I offered alternatives. I said I could pay for a couple of weeks, an extended stay motel, or she could move in with our mom temporarily. Mom has a small apartment, but said Megan could stay if she helps with rent. Megan refused both. She said Liam needs stability and that staying with me would be the only decent option. When I still said no, she blew up. She told me I was selfish and that after everything she did for me growing up, feeding me, protecting me, I should be ashamed to turn her away. She said I owe her this because I wouldn't even have the stability I do if she hadn't taken care of me as a kid. That cut deep. Our mom took her side, of course. She said family takes care of family, and accused me of forgetting where I came from. But when I suggested Megan stay with her, Mom suddenly said it was too cramped. Now Megan has been posting vague things on social media. Stuff like, "It's always the ones you sacrifice everything for who turn their backs on you." I know it's about me because mutual friends keep texting me asking what's going on. One even said I should just let her crash for a while since it's not like I'm married or have kids. The thing is, I'm not heartless. I feel awful about her and Liam's situation. He's a good kid, and it hurts to imagine them struggling. But I also know what living with Megan is like. She doesn't respect boundaries, she'll take over my space, and she'll make me feel like a guest in my own home. I've spent years clawing my way to a peaceful, stable life, and the thought of losing that again gives me anxiety. My boyfriend, Ryan, 35M, who doesn't live with me but spends a lot of time here, supports my decision. He's seen firsthand how draining Megan can be. He reminded me that once she moves in, it'll be nearly impossible to get her out. And honestly, he's right. Megan doesn't leave easily. Still, I can't shake the guilt. I keep thinking about when I was 12, and she stayed up all night helping me finish a school project because Mom was gone for the weekend. Or how she used to give me her share of dinner when food was short. Those memories make me feel like maybe I really do owe her something. But then I remember the last time she stayed with me. She brought a stray cat without asking. I'm allergic, maxed out the thermostat, and left dishes everywhere. She even told me I was too uptight when I asked her not to smoke on the porch because my landlord back then had strict rules. She said, "Relax, it's not like you own the place." Now that I actually do own one, I know exactly how much that matters. Megan's been couch surfing with friends for the past couple of weeks, and yesterday she texted me again, saying she was tired of being homeless and that she's coming to stay with me for a bit because she can't handle this anymore. I told her no, again, and that if she showed up, I wouldn't let her in. She replied, "Wow, you've really changed. Now half my family won't talk to me, and the other half is split between saying I'm doing the right thing and saying I've turned into a snob who's forgotten my roots." I'm trying not to break down about it, but it's wearing me down. I don't want to abandon my sister, but I also can't let her move in and destroy the one thing I've worked so hard for, peace. So, AITA for refusing to let my sister and nephew move in, even though I technically have a space. AITA for refusing to give up my deceased sister's wedding dress to her fiancé's new bride. This whole thing blew up last week, and now my entire family is divided. I honestly don't know if I'm being stubborn or if I'm just standing up for what's right. My sister, Hannah, passed away 3 years ago in a car accident. She was 28. Her fiancé, Ryan, was devastated. We all were. They'd been together for 6 years and were supposed to get married 2 months after the accident. I was her maid of honor and helped her with most of the wedding planning. We were very close, only 2 years apart, and she trusted me with everything. After she died, Ryan stayed in touch with my family. We saw him occasionally for birthdays and holidays. It was painful, but also comforting to have him around, like keeping a piece of Hannah close. My parents always treated him like a son, and honestly, I didn't mind. He'd been part of our family for so long. When Hannah died, I helped clean out her apartment. Among her things was her wedding dress. She'd picked it out with me and my mom. It was stunning, a custom lace gown that she'd saved up for herself. She used to joke that even if she and Ryan broke up, she'd still find a reason to wear it, because it was the most perfect thing she'd ever owned. My mom and I carefully stored it in a preservation box. It's been in my guest room closet since then. Fast forward to last month. Ryan got engaged again. His fiancée, Mia, is nice enough, but she's young, only 25, and they've only been dating about a year. My parents were happy for him, saying it was time he moved on. I try to feel the same way, but it still felt weird. I didn't say anything, just tried to be supportive. Last week, Ryan came over with Mia to talk to me. I thought it was just to catch up, but after some small talk, Mia asked if she could wear Hannah's wedding dress for their wedding. I honestly thought I misheard her. She said she'd seen pictures of Hannah wearing it during her bridal fitting, and she thought it was timeless and a beautiful way to honor her memory. I didn't even know what to say. My immediate reaction was no. That dress was Hannah's. It was personal and sacred to her, and she never got to wear it down the aisle. The idea of someone else, especially her fiancé's new fiancé, wearing it made my stomach twist. I told Mia, as politely as I could, that I didn't think that would be appropriate and that it was something I wasn't comfortable with. Ryan looked embarrassed, but didn't say much. Mia, however, started crying, saying she just wanted to include Hannah in their special day and thought it would be a beautiful tribute. I told her I appreciated the thought, but there were other ways to honor Hannah that didn't involve her literal wedding dress. She kept insisting she meant no disrespect, but I stood firm. After a few tense minutes, they left. Later that night, Ryan called me and said he thought I'd overreacted. He said the dress was just sitting in my closet collecting dust, and that Hannah wouldn't have wanted something so beautiful to go unused. I snapped and told him he had no right to decide what Hannah would have wanted, especially since she never got the chance to marry him. He hung up on me. Since then, my parents have been divided. My dad is completely on my side and said it was disgusting for Mia to even ask. My mom, though, said she understands why Mia wanted to honor Hannah that way, and that maybe it would be a good thing to let the dress see the light of day. She said it would be like Hannah's love story continuing in some way. I think that's a stretch. It got worse when Mia posted something vague on Facebook about people being cruelly possessive over material things. She didn't name me, but everyone knew. A few of her friends commented things like some people just love drama and imagine gatekeeping grief. I didn't engage, but my cousin jumped in and defended me, which led to an online mess. Now half my extended family thinks I'm being cold-hearted, and the other half thinks Ryan and Mia are the insensitive ones. My mom keeps urging me to make peace, saying that Hannah wouldn't want me to hold on to pain. But that's not how I see it. To me, the dress is not just fabric. It's a symbol of everything Hannah was looking forward to, the future she never got to have. The thought of another woman, especially the one marrying her fiancé, wearing it just feels wrong on every level. To make things even more complicated, Ryan texted me again 2 days ago, saying they found a seamstress who could alter the dress so it wouldn't look the same, and that maybe that compromise would make me more comfortable. I said no again. He then accused me of being bitter and unable to let go of the past. I told him if he truly wanted to honor Hannah, he wouldn't ask me to desecrate her memory. Now my mom is not speaking to me because she says I've driven a wedge in the family, and Ryan has apparently told people that I'm holding Hannah hostage. That phrase infuriates me. She's not a hostage. She's gone, and the few things she left behind are all we have to remember her by. I've been crying on and off for days. It's been 3 years, but this brought everything back like it just happened yesterday. Part of me wonders if maybe I'm being selfish. Maybe it's just a dress, and maybe letting Mia wear it could be a way of letting go. But another part of me, the part that remembers helping Hannah zip it up and watching her twirl in front of the mirror, feels sick at the thought. The wedding isn't until next spring, and apparently Mia is still hoping I'll come around. But I won't. I already told them if they ask again, I'll cut contact for good. My dad supports me, but my mom keeps crying, saying she doesn't want this to destroy our family. I never wanted it to get this big. I just wanted to protect something that belonged to my sister. So here I am, questioning myself. Am I being unreasonable for refusing to give up the dress? Am I letting grief and sentimentality cloud my judgment? Or is it as wrong as it feels for them to even ask me in the first place? AITA for refusing to let my late sister's fiancé's new bride wear her wedding dress? AITA for refusing to take care of my sister's baby after she temporarily left him with me a year ago? I, 29F, have an older sister, Erica, 33F, who's always been a little impulsive. Growing up, she was the free spirit while I was the responsible one. She dropped out of college, moved across the country 3 times in her 20s, and always seemed to find herself in some new drama. I love her, but I've spent a lot of my adult life cleaning up after her choices. About a year ago, Erica showed up at my apartment door in tears, holding her 3-month-old son, Liam. She said she was going through a rough time. Her boyfriend had kicked her out, she'd lost her job, and she needed a couple of weeks to get back on her feet. She begged me to watch Liam temporarily while she sorted things out. I hesitated because I work full-time and live in a 1-bedroom apartment, but when I looked at the baby, I just couldn't say no. I told her she could leave him with me for 2 weeks. That was 372 days ago. The 2 weeks turned into a month, then 2, then 3. Every time I brought up that she needed to come get her son, there was a new excuse. She claimed she was about to start a new job, or that she didn't have stable housing yet, or that she was almost ready. During that time, I rearranged my life around this baby. I had to start working from home because daycare was too expensive. I spent my savings on baby supplies, doctor visits, and clothes. I fell into a routine, feeding, changing, bedtime, and slowly realized that Erica wasn't calling to check in much anymore. Then about 4 months in, she just stopped responding altogether. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Her social media was wiped. I was terrified something had happened to her. I even filed a missing person report, but the police told me there wasn't much they could do since she was an adult and hadn't been missing long. Fast forward to last week. I'm home after putting Liam down for a nap when there's a knock on my door. It's Erica. She looks good, tan, hair done, wearing nice clothes. She tells me she's been living in Florida for the past year, that she needed time to heal and start over, and that now she's ready to be a mom again. I was so stunned I couldn't even speak at first. Then I asked her what the hell she meant by ready. She said she had been emotionally unstable and didn't want to drag Liam down while she worked on herself. Apparently, she'd met a new guy who loves kids, and they wanted to start fresh as a family. I told her that what she did wasn't self-care, it was abandonment. That I've been raising her son for an entire year with no help, no communication, and no support. She got defensive and started crying, saying I was trying to steal her baby. She demanded that I hand Liam over right then and there. I refused. I told her I wasn't just going to hand a baby to someone who disappeared for a year with no warning. She yelled that I was cruel and jealous, and that I always hated seeing her happy. She stormed off, saying she'd be back with a lawyer. Since then, she's been messaging me nonstop from a new number, alternating between begging me to forgive her and threatening to call the cops. She also posted some long Facebook rant about how her heartless sister kidnapped her son, which has our extended family divided. Half of them think I'm doing the right thing. The other half think I'm overstepping and that a mother should always have her child. Here's where I might be the asshole. I already contacted a lawyer myself. She told me that since Erica left Liam with me for over a year with no contact or support, I might have ground to petition for guardianship. Maybe even custody if Erica is unfit. I haven't filed yet, but I'm seriously considering it. The thing is, I never want to be a mom this way. I wanted to be an aunt, not a substitute parent. But Liam is my world now. He calls me mama. He cries if I leave the room. The thought of handing him to someone who sees parenting as something you can turn on and off makes me sick. Still, there's a part of me that feels guilty. Erica is his biological mother. Maybe she really has changed. Maybe I'm holding on too tightly because I've bonded with him. But then I remember the nights he was sick and she didn't answer. The holidays she missed. The first time he walked, and she wasn't even there to know. A few days ago, I got a text from one of Erica's friends saying she's been telling people I trapped her by refusing to give Liam back, that I used her breakdown to steal her child. That really broke me, because all I ever did was say yes to helping her, just once, thinking it would be temporary. Now I'm stuck in this impossible situation. If I fight for custody, I'll destroy whatever's left of my relationship with my sister, and I'll probably be painted as the villain by half my family. But if I hand Liam over, I'll lose the little boy I've raised, the one who clings to me and calls me mom. To make things more complicated, Erica's new boyfriend messaged me from his account. He said they're ready to take responsibility now, and that Liam deserves his real family. I don't even know this guy. He's been in Erica's life for maybe a few months. The idea of her uprooting Liam to live with two people he's never met feels like a nightmare. My lawyer told me to document everything, the text, the timeline, the expenses, and to start preparing for the possibility of a court battle. I feel sick about it. This is not what I wanted my life to look like at 29. When I look at Liam sleeping in his crib, I feel both love and dread. Love because he's become my entire world. Dread because at any moment someone could knock on my door and take him away. My mom called me yesterday and told me I should do the right thing and let Erica have her baby back. She said family is about forgiveness. I told her forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what someone did. She accused me of being heartless. So now I'm second-guessing everything. Am I doing this out of genuine concern for Liam, or because I can't let go? Am I protecting him, or am I crossing a line that isn't mine to cross? I didn't ask for this, but now I'm the one holding all the pieces, and I'm terrified that no matter what I do, I'll be the bad guy in someone's story. AITA for refusing to give my sister her baby back after she left him with me for over a year. AITA for refusing to attend my sister's forgiveness-themed wedding after she ruined my engagement and is now pretending nothing happened? So, for context, my sister, 32F, and I, 29F, were pretty close growing up. We're only 3 years apart, and for most of our lives, we had that typical sister dynamic, a little competitive, a lot of teasing, but ultimately supportive. She was always the golden child in the family. Straight A student, captain of everything, the kind of person who seemed to just have things work out for her. I was the more quiet, artsy one who had to fight a little harder for recognition. Our relationship got strained about 3 years ago, and everything started because of my ex-fiancé, Adam, 31M. Adam and I dated for 4 years, and were engaged for about 6 months before things imploded. We met through work. He was in marketing, I was in design, and we clicked almost immediately. My sister, Chloe, met him a few times at family gatherings. At first, she was polite, maybe a bit overly charming, but I brushed it off as her usual extroverted self. During our engagement, Chloe started texting Adam a lot, supposedly about helping plan the proposal video she wanted to surprise us with. My parents thought it was sweet. I thought it was a little odd, but Adam insisted it was innocent, that she was just helping him plan some surprises. I didn't want to seem like a paranoid fiancé, so I ignored my gut. A few months before our wedding, Chloe called me crying, saying Adam had confessed feelings for her and that she didn't know what to do. I remember sitting on my kitchen floor, shaking, because she made it sound like she had been resisting him for my sake. I confronted Adam, and he denied it at first, then admitted he had feelings for her but hadn't acted on them. Everything unraveled fast. We called off the wedding. My parents tried to mediate, but it turned into a circus. Chloe said she was sorry, but also claimed she didn't owe me her life choices. Adam tried to reconnect with me a few months later to clear the air, which I refused. For the next 2 years, I cut both of them off. Chloe tried reaching out several times, birthdays, holidays, long emotional texts about family being forever, but I just couldn't do it. I was still in therapy, trying to rebuild my self-worth. Then 6 months ago, my mom called and dropped the bomb. Chloe and Adam were getting married. Apparently, they'd been together for over a year officially, and she wanted the family to come together in love and forgiveness. My parents wanted me to be the bigger person and at least consider attending. I said absolutely not. Then came the kicker. The theme of their wedding is forgiveness and renewal. The invitations literally say love grows where forgiveness blooms. I wish I were joking. My mom said Chloe picked that theme as a tribute to healing, and that she specifically wanted me there because it would show that our family can move past pain. I told her that asking me to attend the wedding of the man who betrayed me and the sister who helped him do it was beyond cruel. My mom started crying, saying I was holding on to anger and punishing Chloe for finding happiness. My dad stayed mostly neutral but made a comment like, "You can't let bitterness define your life." A few weeks later, Chloe herself called me. It was awkward, to say the least. She started with, "I know you hate me, but I really hope you can see that love can surprise us." I told her I didn't hate her. I just didn't want to be part of her fairy tale built on my heartbreak. She said she wanted my forgiveness as a sisterly blessing at her wedding, and that having me there would make the day complete. I said, "The day will never be complete for me, because you took something from me that I can't get back." She went quiet, then started crying, saying I was choosing resentment over family. I hung up after that. Now my family is split. My parents and extended family are attending, of course. My older brother, 35M, is on my side and called it the most tone-deaf wedding concept in human history. My cousins are gossiping nonstop, and apparently, Chloe has been telling everyone that I refuse to move on and that I'm embarrassing the family by holding a grudge. 2 weeks ago, my mom visited and tried to guilt me again, saying, "You don't have to do it for Chloe, do it for us." I told her, "You're asking me to attend a wedding that's literally themed around my humiliation." She said I was being dramatic and that it's not about me. That part really stung because for once, I think it actually is about me. The wedding is next weekend. I've decided not to go. I sent a polite message declining the invitation, saying I wished them well, but needed to prioritize my peace. Chloe hasn't responded, But my aunt sent me a long message calling me cruel and selfish for refusing to let the family heal. Now I'm starting to doubt myself. My therapist says my boundaries are reasonable, but I feel like I'm being labeled the villain in everyone else's narrative. My mom keeps saying things like, "We're all hurting, not just you," and I know she's trying to help, but it feels like no one's actually acknowledging how deeply this messed me up. Part of me wonders if going to the wedding, sitting quietly, showing forgiveness, would finally give me closure. But another part of me feels like that would just reward them for betraying me and make me complicit in rewriting the story so that Chloe gets to be the victim turned hero. I don't know. Maybe I'm being petty for holding on to it for this long. Maybe I should just let it go and move on. But every time I picture them saying vows about renewal and healing under a floral arch, all I can think about is the night I sobbed on my kitchen floor because they found love at my expense. So, AITA for refusing to go to my sister's forgiveness-themed wedding after she destroyed my engagement and then used it as her redemption story. AITA for refusing to attend my brother's wedding after he made my husband his best man as a joke. So I, 32F, have been married to my husband, Dean, 34M, for almost 8 years. My younger brother, Caleb, 29M, and I have always had a somewhat complicated relationship. Growing up, he was the golden child, smart, funny, athletic, and adored by our parents. I was the responsible one, the one who helped with chores, kept grades up, and took care of him when my parents were too busy. I didn't resent it at first, but as we got older, it became clear that Caleb loved attention and had a cruel streak, especially when it came to jokes. Caleb's sense of humor has always leaned toward humiliating others, and he tends to get away with it because he doesn't mean any harm. When we were teens, he once told my crush I had a weird obsession with collecting belly button lint. I didn't. It was completely made up. He thought it was hilarious. I was mortified for months. That's the kind of person Caleb is. Fast forward to this year. Caleb got engaged to Emily, 28F, who's sweet and seems genuinely nice. We were happy for them and offered to help however we could. Dean and Caleb actually get along decently, which I used to be grateful for. But a few months ago, things took a turn. We were all at my parents' house for dinner when Caleb made a big announcement about his wedding party. He said he wanted to do it in a fun way. He handed out envelopes to everyone, groomsmen, bridesmaids, etc. When Dean opened his, it said, "Congratulations, best man." Dean was surprised because while he and Caleb were friendly, they weren't that close. Caleb grinned and said, "Well, you're practically family already, and you've got that whole calm, responsible vibe. You'll keep me organized." Everyone laughed. I thought it was odd, but I didn't question it. Later that night, Caleb texted me separately saying, "Don't tell Dean yet, but it's actually a prank. The real best man is my friend Eric. We're going to announce it at the bachelor party. It'll be hilarious when Dean realizes." I was floored. I told Caleb that was a terrible idea and incredibly mean-spirited. Dean takes things seriously. He's dependable, thoughtful, and not someone who enjoys being embarrassed. Caleb said, "Come on, it's just a joke. He'll laugh it off." I told him flat out that I didn't think it was funny, and if he went through with it, I wouldn't participate in the wedding at all. He brushed me off. I debated telling Dean, but part of me hoped Caleb would come to his senses. He didn't. 2 months later, Dean went all in on his best man duties. He wrote a speech, helped Caleb pick suits, planned the bachelor weekend, and even paid deposits for activities because Caleb was too busy. I kept waiting for Caleb to admit it was a prank, but he never did. Then, the bachelor weekend happened. I wasn't there, obviously, but I got a call from Dean late that night. He sounded completely broken. Apparently, during the first night, while everyone was hanging out, Caleb stood up with a drink in hand and said something like, "Okay, before the weekend really starts, I've got an announcement. Dean, buddy, you've been an awesome pretend best man, but Eric's the real one. You're still invited, though, kind of like a backup option." Everyone laughed. Dean said it felt like a punch to the gut. He tried to laugh it off, but he ended up leaving early the next morning. When he got home, he barely spoke. He said he felt like an idiot for believing Caleb and for wasting all that time and money. I was furious. I called Caleb immediately and tore into him. He said I was overreacting and that it was just a prank. When I told him Dean was humiliated, he said Dean needed to grow thicker skin. That was the last straw for me. I told Caleb that neither of us would be attending his wedding. He tried to argue, saying I was punishing him for having fun. My parents got involved and, of course, took his side. My mom said, "It's just a sense of humor. Don't ruin the wedding over this." But Dean was genuinely hurt. He even said he'd still go if I wanted him to, but I could tell he was crushed. I told him no, we were staying home. The wedding happened 2 weeks ago. I got several messages from relatives calling me selfish, immature, and dramatic. My mom left me a voicemail saying I embarrassed the family by not showing up. Caleb posted photos from the wedding with a caption like, "Some people can't take a joke, but at least I had the real ones there." I didn't respond, but I can't lie. It stung. Now I'm second-guessing myself. Dean says he's glad we didn't go, but he also hates being the reason for family tension. I keep wondering if I should have just gone for appearances' sake and handled things privately afterward. But then I think about how Caleb looked him straight in the face, let him work and spend money, and then laughed about it publicly. I can't imagine standing there smiling like nothing happened. My mom is still cold with me and says Caleb didn't deserve to have his wedding boycotted over a misunderstanding. Caleb himself texted, once saying, "Hope you got out of your system." I didn't reply. The thing is, this isn't the first time he's done something like this, but it's the first time it's affected someone I love this deeply. I don't want to be the person who cuts family off, but I also don't see how to forgive something so cruel. So here I am, wondering if I went too far by refusing to attend his wedding. Was I really wrong to draw a line? Or was this finally the moment someone needed to? AITA? AITA for refusing to attend my sister's no-gift wedding because she secretly demanded everyone still buy her something? I, 29F, have an older sister, Amanda, 33F, who has always been a little extra. Growing up, she was the golden child, straight as captain of everything, mom's pride and joy. I was more the artsy, quiet one who never really fit into her perfect little world. We get along fine most of the time, but she's always had a tendency to make things revolve around her. Amanda got engaged earlier this year to her fiancé, Kyle, 35M. They've been together for 5 years, and, to be fair, he's a genuinely nice guy. They decided to have what they called a minimalist, sustainable, no-gift wedding. The invitations literally said, "Your presence is the only present we need." Amanda even made a whole Instagram post about rejecting the materialism of modern weddings. Okay, cool. I thought it was pretentious, but whatever. It's their day. Fast forward a couple of months, and our mom calls me sounding a little awkward. She says Amanda wants me to coordinate with her maid of honor about something before the wedding. I text the maid of honor, who sends me a spreadsheet. At first, I assume it's something to do with decorations or seating. Nope. It's a secret gift registry with detailed instructions on what each guest should consider contributing based on their relationship to Amanda and Kyle. It wasn't optional. The spreadsheet had everyone's names, gift categories, and price ranges. Mine said, close family, group gift, fund Amanda's dream honeymoon to Bali. Suggested contribution, $500. Other guests were assigned to buy ethically sourced home decor, artisanal kitchenware, or even eco-luxury sheets. I thought it was a joke. I messaged the maid of honor and asked what this was. She said Amanda wanted to keep the no-gift image public, but she didn't want to miss out on the support people usually show at weddings. Apparently, Amanda had created a whole secret plan where the guests would quietly buy everything from hidden registry so she could still get her dream wedding haul without appearing greedy. I told the maid of honor that was manipulative and hypocritical, especially since Amanda had publicly shamed people for consumerist wedding culture. The maid of honor said she agreed, but couldn't say anything because Amanda would freak out. So I called Amanda. I told her I wasn't comfortable with this whole secret gift scheme and that it was dishonest to tell everyone not to bring gifts while secretly expecting expensive ones. She immediately got defensive, saying I didn't understand the aesthetic and that it wasn't about greed. It was about curating meaningful items rather than random junk. When I said $500 wasn't exactly meaningful, she accused me of being unsupportive and jealous, which is her go-to insult. I told her if she wanted gifts, she should just say so publicly. She said that would ruin the vibe of the wedding. So I told her I wasn't coming. I said I wouldn't be part of a wedding built on a lie, and that if she wanted to scam her guests into buying her luxury stuff while pretending to be minimalist, that was her problem. She started crying, called me cruel, and hung up. My mom got involved immediately. She said I was being too rigid and that every bride wants nice things. I told her that wasn't the point. It's about being honest. My dad, on the other hand, said Amanda brought it on herself, but he's staying out of it to avoid the drama. A few days later, Amanda sent a long text saying I had deeply hurt her by abandoning her on her special day. She also said she had to tell people I couldn't attend due to a work conflict to save me from embarrassing myself. That part really pissed me off. Then I found out something even worse. Apparently, she expanded the secret registry idea into a mandatory contribution request for all guests. The maid of honor, who's clearly over it, told me Amanda made a private Facebook group where she posted a long message explaining that since the wedding was sustainable, guests could redirect the money they would have spent on wasteful gifts and travel toward the honeymoon fund. Several people pushed back, saying the wedding invite said no gifts, and Amanda deleted their comments. Then she made a new rule that anyone who didn't contribute would be respectfully excluded from the post-wedding dinner celebration. It turned into a full-blown disaster. 2 couples dropped out, her fiancé's cousin backed out, and apparently, Kyle's mother had a huge argument with Amanda about deceiving guests. Now half of Kyle's family isn't coming. Amanda is blaming me for starting the negativity. She says I should have kept my opinions to myself instead of encouraging people to question her choices. I swear I didn't say a word to anyone. People found out on their own. But now she's telling the family I sabotaged her wedding. Mom keeps urging me to make peace before the wedding in a few weeks, saying family unity matters more than pride. I said I'm not apologizing for refusing to participate in something dishonest. Amanda texted me again yesterday, saying she's heartbroken that I would boycott her marriage over something as small as a gift list. She ended it with, "You're choosing to hurt me publicly because you can't stand to see me happy. It's true we've always had a tense sibling dynamic, but I really don't feel like I'm in the wrong here. I love my sister, but I can't stand the hypocrisy of pretending to be ethical while secretly manipulating people for money. My boyfriend thinks I did the right thing, but my mom says I'm making this bigger than it needs to be and that I should just go, smile, and move on." Now, part of me is wondering if maybe I was too extreme. Maybe I could have just gone to the wedding and quietly ignore the registry drama. It's not like I had to buy anything. But another part of me thinks that enabling that kind of behavior is exactly why she gets away with stuff like this in the first place. So here I am, being accused of ruining my sister's wedding for standing up for what I think is right. AITA for refusing to attend my sister's no-gift wedding because she secretly demanded everyone still buy her something. AITA for refusing to go to my sister's low-waist wedding after she demanded we all wear reused clothes and criticize my engagement ring. So I, 28F, have one older sister, Hannah, 31F. Growing up, we were close, though she's always been more opinionated and intense about her beliefs. Over the last few years, she's become very passionate about sustainability and zero-waste living. I admire her dedication, honestly. She makes her own cleaning products, composts everything, drives an electric car, and runs a local community garden. It's great, until it turns into her policing everyone else's choices. Last spring, Hannah got engaged to her fiancé, Noah, 33M. They're both big into environmental activism, so we all expected a green wedding. But what we didn't expect was how extreme it would be. When she first announced her plans, she made this big family group chat titled Hannah and Noah's Eco Celebration and immediately sent out a 20-slide presentation explaining the rules of their wedding. Rule number 1 was no new clothes. Everyone had to wear something secondhand, borrowed, or handmade. No exceptions. She said new clothing contributes to environmental destruction, and anyone caught wearing something bought new after the announcement date would not be allowed to attend the ceremony. Rule number 2 was that there would be no single-use items of any kind, including makeup wipes, bottled drinks, or disposable cups. Everyone had to bring their own water bottles, utensils, and napkins. She even sent a recommended wedding kit list with thrifted options and links to tutorials on making your own bamboo cutlery rolls. Rule number 3 was no waste gifts. Only experiential or donation-based presents were acceptable. That one didn't bother me much, but the tone of her message did. She wrote, "We're inviting only those who truly respect our values." Anyway, I was a little irritated but decided to roll with it. I started looking for a second-hand dress. I'm a teacher, so I don't have tons of spare time, but I did check thrift stores for a few weekends. I couldn't find anything that fit or looked remotely wedding appropriate. I asked Hannah if a dress I already owned would work. It's a simple blue gown I bought a few years ago for another wedding. She said it symbolized fast fashion because it came from Zara and wasn't sustainable. I told her I wasn't buying anything new anyway, so what difference did it make? She said wearing something ethically tainted would disrupt the energy of the event. That's when I started to lose patience. To make things worse, this all blew up during my own engagement. My fiancé, Mark, 29M, proposed to me in July with a simple diamond ring. It's not huge or flashy, just a classic solitaire that he saved for. When I told my family, everyone was happy except Hannah. She immediately texted me, saying it was disappointing that I'd accepted a mine diamond and that I was contributing to the exploitation of workers and destruction of ecosystems. I told her that I understood her point, but that it wasn't really her business. She doubled down, saying, "If you'd done your research, you'd know better." My mom told her to drop it, but Hannah refused and sent me 3 articles about ethical jewelry. After that, we barely spoke for months. Then, last month, she called me to confirm if I was attending the wedding. I told her I wanted to, but I wasn't sure about the clothing rule because I hadn't found anything that fit her criteria. She got quiet, then said, "So you're refusing to honor the planet at my wedding?" I said, "No, I'm just refusing to stress over a dress code that feels impossible." She told me that if I couldn't follow her ethical expectations, she'd rather I didn't come at all. I thought she was bluffing, but a week later I got a group message saying the final guest list had been adjusted to reflect those who aligned with the couple's values. My name wasn't on it. I was hurt. I hadn't formally declined, but she clearly uninvited me. My mom called her furious, saying she'd gone too far. Hannah said she was tired of performative support and that if I couldn't show up authentically sustainable, it was better that I stayed home. At that point, I told her fine, I wasn't coming. I even told her I hoped she had a great day, but that her attitude had made it impossible to feel welcome. She sent a single message back. "I hope one day you'll care about something bigger than yourself." The wedding was 2 weeks ago. My parents went and said it was unusual. They said the ceremony was beautiful, but the reception was chaotic. Guests had to wash their own dishes at a makeshift sink station. The caterer refused to serve meat, so some guests left early to get food. My mom said everyone looked uncomfortable because Hannah and Noah kept giving speeches about ethical integrity. Now my sister has been posting all over social media about how some people in her life chose convenience over conscience. I didn't respond, but some mutual friends messaged me asking why I skipped the wedding. When I explained, a few said I should have just done what she asked. It was her day after all. Others said she was being ridiculous. Mark thinks I did nothing wrong and that Hannah needed a reality check. My parents are on my side, but my aunt said I should have just thrifted something ugly and dealt with it. I can't tell if I stood up for myself or if I was being stubborn. I genuinely wanted to be there for her, but I also felt like she turned her beliefs into a loyalty test. Now she's barely speaking to me, and part of me wonders if I should have tried harder. I do care about the environment. I recycle, I compost, I even bike to work when I can, but I don't think living perfectly should be a requirement for love or family. Still, I can't shake the guilt. Did I make this worse by refusing to bend, or was it reasonable to draw the line when my sister started dictating how everyone had to live just to be part of her wedding? AITA for refusing to go to my sister's low-waist wedding after she uninvited me for not meeting her standards? AITA for not letting my sister's kids stay with me after they were caught bullying my son? So a little background here. I, 32F, have a 9-year-old son, Ethan. Ethan is a pretty shy kid, but he's sweet, intelligent, and kind-hearted. I've always tried to raise him in a supportive and loving environment. We live in a modest two-bedroom apartment, but we've managed just fine. Ethan has his own room, and while it's not a mansion, it's home. My sister, Megan, 35F, has 3 kids, Sarah, 11, Liam, 8, and Olivia, 5. Megan and I were very close growing up, but in recent years, we've drifted apart a bit, mostly due to the fact that her parenting style is, well, different from mine. She tends to be a bit more permissive with her kids, and while I try not to judge, I've seen some concerning behavior over the years. It started a few months ago when Megan asked if her kids could stay with me for a few days. She and her husband were going on a weekend trip to visit family, and she didn't want to leave the kids alone. Initially, I hesitated, mainly because my apartment is small and I'm used to having it just for me and Ethan. But Megan was insistent, and she told me it would only be for a few days. She also mentioned that Ethan would be happy to have company, which I agreed was a nice idea. The first few days went fine. The kids were a bit noisy, but Ethan seemed to enjoy having playmates. However, things started to take a turn for the worse when I noticed that Sarah and Liam were making fun of Ethan regularly. They'd call him names like nerd and crybaby, and they'd make fun of his clothes, his voice, even the way he walked. I tried to intervene, but Megan's kids would just shrug it off like it was nothing. I'd tell them to be kind, but they'd say things like it's just a joke or he needs to toughen up. I didn't want to escalate things by being too harsh, but Ethan started visibly withdrawing. He was quieter, more anxious, and I noticed he didn't want to go outside to play anymore. He also started complaining of stomach aches, which I knew was a sign of stress for him. I spoke to Ethan privately, asking him about what had been going on. After a bit of coaxing, he told me everything, how Sarah and Liam were always picking on him, calling him names, and making him feel bad about himself. I felt so heartbroken for him, and I promised I would handle the situation. I tried to address it with Megan. I told her that her kids had been bullying Ethan, and I was worried about how it was affecting him. Megan seemed defensive at first, and her response was something along the lines of, "Oh, kids will be kids. They don't mean it. You're overreacting." I explained that it wasn't just a minor issue. It was affecting Ethan's mental and emotional well-being. I even suggested that maybe her kids should apologize, but Megan brushed it off. She said, "They'll figure it out themselves. Don't make such a big deal out of it." The next day, things got worse. Sarah and Liam were even more cruel to Ethan, and when I confronted them, they acted like I was the problem. Liam told me, if Ethan didn't cry so much, maybe we wouldn't make fun of him. And Sarah rolled her eyes and said, "Maybe your kid just needs to learn how to take a joke." That was the final straw for me. I knew that I couldn't let this go on any longer. That evening, I sat down with Ethan and told him that I was going to call his aunt and let her know what had been happening. Ethan didn't want me to, because he was worried it would make things worse. But I assured him that I was doing it because I loved him and wanted him to feel safe. I called Megan and asked her to come pick up the kids. When she arrived, I told her that I wasn't comfortable with them staying any longer. I explained how serious the bullying had been, and I even shared the things that her kids had said to Ethan. Megan didn't take it well at all. She immediately became defensive and said, "You're blowing this out of proportion. It's not like they're physically hurting him." I stood firm and told her that it wasn't just about physical harm. It was about emotional damage. I said that until she could have a serious conversation with her kids about their behavior and make them apologize to Ethan, I wasn't comfortable with them staying in my home. Megan seemed furious and snapped. "You're being ridiculous. You're not even giving them a chance to be kids." She grabbed the kids and stormed out, leaving me feeling both frustrated and upset. Since then, Megan has been really angry with me. She's told our family members that I was being unreasonable, and a few of them have even sided with her, claiming that I overreacted. Some people think I should have been more patient and let the kids work it out, while others say I should have dealt with it privately rather than involving Megan. I've been feeling a lot of guilt. Was I too harsh on the kids? Should I have just let it go and kept my peace? Ethan, on the other hand, is relieved that the whole ordeal is over, but I can see that the situation has caused some strain between him and his cousins. He says he doesn't want to see them anymore, and part of me feels like maybe I should have handled things differently to avoid making him feel isolated. So, AITA for asking my sister to take her kids home because of the bullying, even though it caused a rift in our family. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new videos also. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your support and engagement mean a lot to me. See you in the next video.